Welcome into Buffalo Plus. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. Hey, there's a game this week.
Yeah, we're in the big house. Look at this.
I know. You know it's a big game.
That's it.
We're not in our basements anymore. They let us out.
They let us out. We're free.
That they did. Bills, Bucks.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
Lots to talk about in this.
It is. There's a lot to talk about. There's still a lot to talk about from last week and the implications to it. And then how they transition to this week. You guys were up at the practice. So
yeah.
You know how they're kind of feeling today.
We got to talk to a lot of players today.
Yes.
And it was a very candid after practice media session, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, we always ask for that behind, we kind of joke around about that inside baseball, kind of that information we're giving you behind the scenes. There have been a lot of times where we haven't really heard a lot from the players. Or they may say words, but it's not newsworthy. It's not anything really noteworthy. A lot of noteworthy things I thought today.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good points. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Poyer.
Deion Dawkins.
Honest, candid answers of what's going wrong. And again, no sense of panic. I feel like we want to hear from you. If you have panic, make sure to comment in on the YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, and by the way, the Bills players gave a little above and beyond after the New England game, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the mic drop.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, yeah, we're going to cover everything. There is a lot to get to. And like Dan mentioned, please be sure to write in if you have any, type in if you have any comments on our Buffalo Plus YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook, the 13 Wham Facebook page. We want to hear from you. There's a lot to go over after these last couple of weeks as we look ahead as well, so we want to make sure we hear from you. We're going to take a very quick break, and we'll be right back with the start of the show.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football. Brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
Welcome into Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. All right, we are entering Week 14 of the NFL season. The Bills coming off that very tough loss to the Patriots. And up ahead, the defending Super Bowl champions in the Bucs. A lot to talk to as we get ready for this game. Mike, what do you want to see in terms of this Bills team, and where are they at right now?
They're at a crossroads at the moment, right? This season has not gone remotely the way they wanted it to go. The New England game was just that frustrating end of a bad stretch, or at least they hope it's the end of a bad stretch. It was the game they needed the most, and they did not get it done, and it was, I use the word again, frustrating in the way they did it. But it's still in front of them. If Sean McDermott and his team want to get it done, Dan, they got to figure out a way. And today it seemed like maybe they got a little spark back.
Well, we've been talking about it the last few weeks, is that who are the Bills? What is their identity? They seem to have lost their way. Here, Emmanuel Sanders rallying the team. Again, he's only been here for one season. This is his first year in Buffalo, but he's a veteran. Josh Allen said he's one of the guys that they can lean on who has been through streaks like this. No sense of panic, just the sense of trying to get things right and figured out to be who they are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a very good point, too. And we've seen this team be consistent in the way of winning a game, then losing a game, winning a game, then losing the game. It's the frustration that comes with that. And we're now in December, obviously. We're nearing the end of the schedule. We got to talk to Josh Allen after practice about that sense of where they're at, where they want to be, and just their mood as they head into Tampa this weekend.
I mean, we're extremely hungry. I think there's a sense of urgency of what we need to do. And again, there's no panic in our locker room. We're extremely united right now with what we need to do. We've had a couple really good days of practice and walkthroughs, and we're looking forward to going out there and getting a chance to play against the defending world champs, and arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks, like I said, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. So, we're a hungry team, and we want to go out there and prove what type of team we are, not to you guys or to everybody else, but to ourselves, because we know the type of guys that we have in this locker room and the team that we can be.
Josh talking about being hungry. Mike, he also said that there's not a sense of panic. Where do you think, is that true? Where are we at, though?
There should be a little panic. Panic is the wrong word, because if it's panic, then you're not in control of what you're doing. It's more of a scramble. Urgency, yes. Jenna, Dan, I think that's what's been missing from this team all year.
Yeah.
I mean, it started with week 1, and I get it. That's week 1. There's been so many other times, except for that Kansas City game. That was the only time they went in there against a team, we forget, because Kansas City went through some rough times and then coming back. I mean, that was the team that beat them, and they went in there and handled the Chiefs. From that point on, you say consistent. You're right. It's an inconsistent consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just keep losing, winning, and they just haven't had it go their way. if you're ever going to get to that line right at the edge of panic, this should be it, Dan.
Yeah, and you talked about it after the game on the blog on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel that we had up on Tuesday morning after the game ended. But just the fact of Sean McDermott seemed feisty, angry at times, and you were like, I want the players to be angry. You talked about that sense that it's lacked, where it's like, hey, we lost the game, no big deal. It's starting to become a big deal. These games are slipping away. Yeah. Jacksonville was a big deal. The Patriots game's a big deal. All those things where you almost want them to show more emotion than some of the fans, and you guys are probably out there saying, like, it is frustrating. I am panicking.
Yeah. Well, we know so many fans were at that game on Monday night, albeit with that terrible weather, there to see their team, and the fact that they didn't come away with that win in such a disappointing way. The Bills lost. Bill Belichick, they only threw the ball 3 times, Mike. I mean, we saw this Bills offense try to establish the run, and we know that there was wind in that game, but it just seems like there's a difference of philosophies between McDermott and Dable.
It's not working at the moment. There's no question there is something going on here. This happens. You know when it happens? It happens when you lose. And this team's been losing. I mean, they're only 7-5. They know they're better than this. In terms of McDermott and Dable, I think they come at the game from different places. But last year, everything worked. It did. They threw the ball. Running didn't matter because they threw it so well and scored so many points. Jenna, it's not working this year.
Yeah.
We know it's not. McDermott wants toughness. This team isn't built for toughness. Now, when asked, the two of them, are you guys on the same page? Here's what they had to say.
Again, we're all working in this thing together. We're aligned in what we want to do, and we keep on working at it.
Yeah, I think we are. You know, those are the things you work through. You work through your challenges. Challenges are different every year, and you know, those are things we're working through to get fixed and make sure we are on the same page. And I believe we are, and we've got to go out there and execute at a higher level so we can be more consistent on offense in that case.
I'm not convinced, Dan. I don't think they're on the same place. And I wonder this week if there were conversations to say, this is what we can do, this is what we should do, because you've been calling for it the whole time. You know what you think they should do.
Well, you go back to the point where at times where so many times people have said, well, you need a running game. You need a running game. You can't put it all on Josh. Well, guess what? Last year, it was all on Josh. We didn't talk about a running game last year because Josh was second in the MVP voting. That is who this team is. That's who they're built to be, and they need to get back to it. Even in the windy conditions, the Bills' best plays on offense were still passing attempts, and they need to stay with it.
Yeah, no, and going off of that, Dan, we've talked so much about them trying to establish a run and having the frustrations with that. With this week being the way it is, being in Tampa, the nice weather, being able to spread out the offense, do you think that this will be a spot where they say, hey, let's let Josh do what Josh does best?
Well, and Josh was asked, and we talked to him this week, and I said, you know, people think you need to add this running game. You need to add things. You need to add things. I asked Josh, do you need to add things to the offense? And he says, no, it's actually the opposite.
To be more simple, right? To be more simple in the offense.
Yeah, definitely. Here's what Josh had to say exactly about that.
You don't want to try to add so many things that you're losing yourself. You know, get back to being us, playing fast, you know, whatever, taking shots, getting the ball out of our hands, having fun, being that offense that we know that we are. You know, you got to work with what you got. You can't go out there searching for more stuff or trying to figure it out. Or, you know, when you add things, it makes things more complicated. Like, so for us, I feel like I'm 100% with that, making it as simple as possible. But at the same time, we got enough players. We got all the players in the world. We got the plays.
Obviously, that was Stephon Diggs and not Josh Allen. But I asked Diggs the same question of just keeping it simple. And are you a fan of that? Because that's what Josh says you need to do, is to actually not add plays, it's to subtract plays and get back to what you do best. And we know this team does best is passing the ball. And Stephon Diggs said, that's what we need to do. We have the players, we have the plays. It's the KISS method, guys.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, I will tell you this. I do believe that they eventually need to be a complete offense because the team they're going to see this week can run it and they can throw it. But to the point here, you know, it's like a few years ago, you're the Houston Rockets in the NBA, and all you do is shoot threes. What are you going to do, get in the playoffs and now get it in the post? No, you're going to take your shot by shooting threes. Do you need to be more well-rounded? Maybe.
Yeah.
But this isn't the time. And McDermott even admitted that on Monday night after the game, after he got done venting about other stuff. He said, this is not the time to be fixing problems like this. I say go all in on throwing the ball and take your chances with a quarterback who can get it done.
Welcome.
But I do believe to be that kind of offense, they need some toughness and they need to be different. Look at all the top teams.
Sure.
Green Bay does it.
I
Tampa
agree.
does it. These are what these teams do.
We'll worry about that next year.
Okay.
Right now, let's throw the ball 50 times a game.
I would agree. And we asked Stephon Diggs this week about, everyone kept talking about it's all about the execution. We asked him, Dan, what goes into that better execution? And I thought his answer was very telling.
Yeah, it's the little things. It's not paying attention. It's paying attention to little things. It's working out in the weight room on Mondays. It's coming and doing your film work. And he goes, when you lose those little things, then it bleeds into the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the devil is in the details, that little saying. And we've seen this Bills team struggle with that.
Yeah, look at Matt Breida on the handoff by Josh Allen. When you look at it, his hands weren't in a great position. That was a small thing that became a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
The details. Devil's in the details.
Devil's
Look
in the
at you.
details.
Yeah.
That's like a phrase, guys.
I know it is.
It's a phrase.
Okay.
We're just impressed you
No,
used it.
I came up with it.
It's a
Don't worry
wise
about it.
phrase.
It's a wise phrase. Well,
There's
I'm
like 100
wise.
ways to milk a cow.
Well, there's
That's
a
it.
guy who's very wise that we're going to talk about coming up after the break. Tom Brady. He's back. Once again, Brady will get into him, how he's playing, what this Bucs team looks like. We'll have that coming up after the break.
Yes, I know it's a saying.
Okay, you guys were astonished
we
that
were
I
just,
used
that
it.
you used it the way you did. And now you're old enough to use these wise phrases.
Thank you, yes. I did find a gray hair the other day.
Yes, so did I.
Wow, shocking. Couple of good comments here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. James says Buffalo is 4 plays away from being 11-1.
Yes.
But you can't. But you're not.
Yeah. That's like taking out the 67-yard touchdown run against the
But you
Patriots.
can. Yeah. And so, yes, it is tough. And like I said, you want to know what? The Lions would have won a lot more games if it wasn't for Justin Tucker hitting a 65-yard field goal. You can't take those plays away.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like when you looked at last year. Yes, the Hail Mary play took a win away. But then you had the Rams game
where Tyler Kroft gets a pass interference
call late in the game and you get a win. So it can go that way. I think the frustration has been in the idea that this offense has not come through in big moments, especially in the end of the game against the Jags and in the red zone against the Titans, in the red zone against the Patriots. They just did not come through.
Well, what did we see all last year? Bills in a tight spot at the fourth quarter, Josh Allen leading them down the field and scoring. We saw that so much last year. This year in close games, I mean, the Bills are 0-4 in games that are decided by 7 points or less.
It comes to the fact of needing to, not trying to fit a
all right,
square
we're going to be
peg
right back after the break.
in a round hole.
Welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Tom Brady, a guy who knows Buffalo well. He's gone 32-3 against the Bills.
Not bad.
Yeah, he has given this Bills team nightmares over the years. I mean, where do you think he's playing right now? I mean, he's in his 40s, and he's just still so good.
It's absurd.
It's absurd.
Well, look at it. Here's what he's been able to do. And you'll hear a lot of quarterbacks say this. As they've gotten older, they know so much more, but they can't do it physically.
Yeah.
Brady, give him credit.
Avocado ice cream.
It really is. And he's so driven to still be good that now I think he's probably enjoying himself more than he ever has.
I agree.
He's playing with house money, and he has all the money in the world, and he's playing that way, but he can still physically do it. His arm is still strong. It's not the strongest in the league, but it's strong enough.
To be.
And he's so smart with the ball. He figures things out before the snap. That's why he can keep playing. And he does not get hit.
Right. He gets rid of the ball really quickly. That's another thing the Bills will have to try and get pressure on. But look, he is, like you said, Mike, having so much fun. He's doing his commercials. He's doing everything that he wants to do. He's got his Twitter and all of those things that he's enjoying doing. But on top of it, it comes to a system that is engineered to him. I really do feel like he's coaching this team as much as Byron Leftwich, as much as Bruce Arians is. He has full control and understanding of what the system is.
Yeah. I would agree with that, and it's interesting because this Bills team we know has so much experience going off against Tom Brady. We got to talk to Leslie Frazier about the battles that they've had between the two and also just getting ready for this week.
Yeah, I know, man. He's giving us the blues on occasion. So he definitely presents challenges. Got him another ring, and he just continues to get better and better, it seems. It's just amazing.
I love playing against Tom Brady. I really do. I think that it's incredible to, have a chance to go against somebody who's that amazing of a football player and the things that he's done in his career. And so, I'm excited that this is the opponent that we're facing this week.
Allen said the same thing. Just to get the fact of getting to play against him in his still in his prime to some respect, just coming off a Super Bowl, MVP contender this year.
Yeah.
That's the difference, because in many cases you would be playing against a player like this at the end,
Yes.
and it's more of he's still a good player.
Ceremonial.
Or
Yes,
he's in a different position, he's more of a part-time player. Well, he's, like you said, maybe even the MVP of the league, won a Super Bowl, and I don't know if you would bet against them right now.
No, and also he's got his good friend Rob Gronkowski.
That's the thing. He's pretty much the GM, too, because he's bringing in guys that he wants to hang around with. And Gronk, obviously, is another Western New York native from Buffalo, had this to say about his love for playing the Bills and remembering the good times growing up.
Whenever I was in the backyard playing football with my friends, with my brothers and I, you line up out wide, you're always pretending you were, the receiver that they had. If I was Molds, that was always my favorite player. Or if you make a stop or a big hit, you're acting like you're Taquillo Spikes. So, the history of the Buffalo Bills just goes way back with my family and I, from just playing in the backyard to watching the games.
Terrell Troop.
What about
Terrell Troop was the guy the Bills drafted one spot before the Patriots took
That hurts.
Rob Gronkowski. Wow. He played 22
Bills
games.
fans are pretty down, and you just kicked him.
He played 22 games for the Bills in 2 seasons, and then was done.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Gronk
had some back injuries in college. There was a concern about that. He's been able to.
Yeah, I feel like he's been able to do pretty well, I'd say.
To do pretty well.
Pretty well.
That's about their offense.
Yeah.
Their defense is good too. Now, they struggle in the secondary right now because they have some injuries, and we'll see come game time who's playing in that secondary. But this team in the front seven is really strong. And I talked to a reporter from the ABC station down in Tampa about the guy that makes it all work in the front of that defense for Tampa.
Biggest playmaker is Vita Vea. He is a guy that he gets double teamed, and it opens up lanes for the linebackers like Shaq Barrett or the rookie Joe Tryon to come back and come straight through the middle and get the sacks. I mean, Vita Vea is so disruptive. He is the biggest heart and soul of this defense. And you don't have to send any extra rushers because Vita takes up so much space.
That's a concern.
It is. And their front seven is really strong.
They are.
And maybe that will just realize that the Bills don't bother running it, because you're going to struggle to run it against Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
Yeah, he does open up a lot of things for the rest of that defense, too.
Yes.
By the way, that whole interview is on the Buffalo Plus channel, including Kyle telling us about how Tom Brady shows up at news conferences in shorts and flip-flops.
The flip-flops element of it. I
Yeah.
feel like he's just living his best life.
He is. Well, maybe the Bills can ruin it on Sunday. Well, ruin it for a moment.
Yeah, I was going to say. I feel like it's so fitting, though, that it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
In a way. Maybe it is.
Breakout.
All right, well, coming up, it's our favorite segment. It's time for the mic drop. We'll have it after the break. It's all about RESPECT in the post-game press conference. We'll have that after the break.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. I know probably out there people watching right now have some opinions on what went on. And, you know, a lot of times people will say, should the players even be doing interviews? Yes, they should be doing interviews.
Yes. Yeah.
And the players, many of them actually enjoy it, and they get a voice. And I tell you something, they win this game against the Bucs.
Oh, they would love that.
They're going to be running in the media room. And it's tough. It's way better for us when they win. It's a much better room.
Yeah.
But it's the way it goes. Yep. And there are some guys who step up in those moments.
Yep.
So that's
and
what
it is
we'll talk
not
about.
easy to answer questions after losses.
Yeah.
No.
And if you were to have a bad day at your work, or we have a bad show or a sportscast, and have somebody come up to us and be like, so, like, what went wrong with that, video that you
What
took?
happened in that first segment when we mentioned Josh Allen as
and it
opposed
was
to
Stephon Diggs? Yeah.
You just take it one segment at a time.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
It's really hard to win in the broadcast industry.
At the end of the day, you just try to get better.
Hey, the other
Each segment.
stations get paid too, right? Well, in our business, that's not always true.
Actually, that's
for all
really
of us,
good.
but
That is really not. Also,
Yeah.
it is hard to win in the broadcast industry, so there's that.
Couple of comments. Mac here, not a big fan. Hope Zach Moss never takes a handoff ever again.
Yeah.
Lot of hate on Zach Moss. Lot of dogging on him.
I got to tell you though, a lot of it comes down to the way you block too, because when you see it,
Barry Sanders isn't running for 100 yards behind this offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he might.
Yeah.
You might.
Back
You get
in my
99.
day. Back in my day.
Oh, yeah. Means it's not your day. No, it's going to be...
Ethan Abel saying, I'm losing faith in Daboll, not as much as McDermott.
Okay.
That's
All right,
interesting.
we'll get into that as well. We'll be right back after the break for more Buffalo Plus. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. It's time for our favorite segment every week, and that is for the mic drop about what you want to talk about, spout out about what's going on in the NFL.
Pontificate about. It's what I do. And it happened to be at the end of the game, and it was a miserable game, both the weather and the way it went for Bills fans. And then afterward, we're in the media room, and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, they come out together. And you guys have all seen what happened because it became a national story all over the place. Micah Hyde asked questions, and then it was brought up to him from Jerry Sullivan, reporter, long time in Buffalo, about, are you guys embarrassed by the way it went? And it didn't go well at that point. Hyde wasn't happy, Poyer wasn't happy, and as he left, there were some words exchanged, and that became the story of the post game. And here's my take on the whole thing. I'm in there and I'm asking questions, and it's not easy. My opinion at this moment of games always is, and I've told Dan and Jenna this after all these years, I think that there is a moment, especially after a loss, that you don't take it easy on a player. You ask him the questions, but there is something to be said for the idea of how you ask the question. Jerry Sullivan absolutely was entitled to ask a hard question about the way the defense played, way the team played. But I do think sometimes the wording of a question will trigger a player. And when you ask an NFL player if he is embarrassed by how he played, you're going to get a pushback. And then it became more of a thing than not a thing. Now, Hyde came out yesterday and talked about his respect for the media. And I do believe that is the case. I think he's respectful. You get a little give and take. He's really good. Most of the players are really good about it. Most of the media is good. I don't necessarily blame anybody. I say it can get this way. The players owe talking to us because then it eventually gets to you, and we owe respect to the players. It's a mutual thing. But as these guys just said a moment ago, it's much easier for everybody when a team wins than when they lose. But it's the same media there asking questions no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens so often. People ask us, oh, you rooting for the Bills, Bills fans. Our job is a lot easier when they win. It's a lot tougher. It's tougher for them to come out and talk to us after losses.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very true. But again, that mutual respect goes a long way.
And there is something to be said. I mean, they were literally moments after the game ended.
Still wearing the jersey.
Physical game, just lost, and come out there. They need a break a little bit at that moment, but they're the ones who choose to come out at that time.
Yeah, no, it's very true. You mentioned physical game. We want to take a quick look at the injury report sponsored by UR Medicine Sports Medicine. A couple guys there on the list. I mean, this team looks pretty good, though.
Yep.
Dan, wouldn't you say in terms of heading into Sunday?
Yeah, besides Star Lotulelei popping up this week, obviously returning from COVID, played sparingly against the Patriots, now pops up with a toe injury, something to look for as the week goes on.
We know a lot of fans were very frustrated by the Bills game against the Patriots. Our great sponsor, Greg Connors, we have his picks and predictions, but we also kind of let Greg vent a little bit as you all may be feeling similar to how Greg felt.
So if these guys don't do their job right, they better expect people who have worked hard to pay for their ticket to go down and then freeze on Monday Night Football to watch that happen. You bet we're ticked off, and you bet the Bills Mafia, look, we're going to be there on Sunday in Tampa, and we're going to cheer as hard and as loud as we can. But for them not to think that we should be holding them personally accountable for their failure of not doing what they were hired to do, that's insane.
Love it.
I love it, too. I feel like so many people felt exactly like that.
And you know what I loved about it? He went right from, we are so mad at you, but man, we're going to be cheering from you on Sunday.
And he picked the Bills to win.
And he picked the Bills to win 45-42.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something if we see that
barn burner
on
in
Sunday?
that one. We're going to have plenty of picks and predictions coming up after the break as we get into this. Bills against the Bucs, our predictions. We'll have it coming up.
And by the way, that was only a portion of Greg venting.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, he was fired up. But, I mean, his point is like a lot of people have.
I agree. I mean, fans paid a lot of money for that game.
Well, it's the
stood
money.
Outside.
And it's also the investment. Even if you're not at the game, you invest in the team and you want to see, look, the players want to win. There's no question.
It's an investment,
and they were miserable
either
after the
financial,
game.
money.
But we've had a lot of thoughts.
Time.
Any more good comments? You had about the Daboll, losing faith in Daboll. It's a really interesting dynamic between the two. And I think these last few games are going to decide where things are for next year.
It's happening. I agree. I've had some comments. Antonio Williams is wanted back on the field.
Oh, man.
I would tell you guys this. People ask for Antonio Williams. And I get it because he's the guy that hasn't played except for the game with Miami last year. The coaches would have no reason to not put Antonio Williams on the field unless they just did not believe that he's ready for pass protection, which is fans forget about that all the time. Like you've seen Devin Singletary undercut guys, keep them off of Josh Allen. Zach Moss, the same thing. Like that is a big part of their job too. So if they don't trust him, they're not going to put him in the game.
Ahmad Mathis saying to be an elite team, Buffalo will need to have bigger running backs and a defensive line and offensive linemen. Yes, they need to build a team to be physical. You can't build a team. You don't build a sports car and then take it off-road. Like, you need to play with what you got. And I think that's our comment. Triggs44 says we need to stick to what we are. That's the passing game, trying to be something you ain't.
Yes.
I agree.
Where they're at right now, this team is built to pass the ball.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Maybe down the road, if McDermott wants a more physical team, that's something to look at. We'll have our picks and predictions coming up right after the break. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus. Picks and predictions time. A lot going into this game, but first we want to start with your best bets.
Which have been like the Bills. Inconsistent at times this year, but I really like the Chargers at home against the Giants. If you didn't know, Jacob Fromm is going to start for the Giants, and he has only been with New York for about 10 days. I don't think he's got a great playbook in grasp of the playbook, as well as they are a mess offensively. The Chargers coming off a big win, getting back home. I like the Chargers to lay the big number and play the Giants.
And Joe Judge is still coaching the Giants, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, bet against him every week.
Jake Fromm, just on the Bills practice squad.
Yeah.
They could look at that.
Well, good for Jake that he gets in a game.
Absolutely,
Not the best
definitely.
of circumstances, but if you play well, you never know.
Yeah, get your shot. All right, let's see your shot at this game.
Look, last week I said that my heart was saying the Bills while my head was saying the Patriots. I kind of feel like my head is saying Patriots, but my heart is saying the Bucs. But the Bills win this game. The Bills with their backs against the line after an embarrassing game and all the media circus that is going on around it. I think the Bills bounce back. We've seen it a lot this season when a team is backed against the wall. I'm not going to say the Bills' season is totally on the line, but a lot of it is in this one. I think they get back to who they are. I think they throw the ball. I'm afraid about Dane Jackson getting picked on by Tom Brady, but I think the offense picks up the defense for once this season. They get the win. Kind of surprisingly to most people, Bills are an underdog in this one. I think they win outright.
All right. I also have the Bills winning this one. My thought process is similar to Dan's in terms of this team needs this win really bad. Where they're at in the season, coming off a loss like they did, it's Tom Brady, it's the defending Super Bowl champs. It's a spot for the Bills to make a statement, especially as we head later into December. Look, this is going to be a tough game. I have it also being a high-scoring game. The Tampa Bay Bucs have a lot of weapons. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, obviously Rob Gronkowski. The list goes on and on. But I think this Bills team gets back to what they do best, and that is passing the football to their weapons, getting Stephon Diggs involved, other guys as well. I have the Bills winning this one. It's going to be a tough test, but I have them winning 38-31 on the road.
Yeah, it would be something to see. Last year I felt like I had a real good fix on this team. I don't at all. I've been zigging when they zagged. I've picked them to win way too much. They've let me down picking the game. They've let you down way more. This week, yeah. Do I believe the Bills are the more desperate team? Yes. But I've been wrong all the time. So all of you will be happy to know that I'm picking the Bucs in this game because I've just had a bad feel for what the Bills are going to do. Even in Kansas City, I didn't see it yet, and they came up big. So maybe I don't see it now. Maybe they do. But I've got Tom Brady and the Bucs winning in a high-scoring game. I think you'll feel better about the Bills team after the game if it's this type of game. Certainly if it goes the way Dan and Jenna think. But one way or the other, I think this Bills team bounces back, looks more like themselves. Maybe, just maybe, this is the game they pull it off.
The Bills haven't lost back-to-back games since Tennessee and Kansas City last season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So maybe it is.
All right, we'll
They
see.
have been a resilient team.
They have been.
And when we have kind of pushed against them and wanted to get the feel in the locker room, they have said, we're a resilient group.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put it on the line.
They absolutely will. Here's a look at our picks as well as Yeah, Mike, they're a little struggling. 6-6.
Well, you're only 7-5.
I
Yeah,
know,
we're supposed to be
but-
bragging here.
Yeah.
I know, but
we
it's
pick the
just
Bills every
Mike
week.
is always so good. That
Yeah.
it's
Hey, you want to
just-
brag? Where are we going to be Sunday?
We're going to be in Tampa. We're going to be in Tampa this weekend. Dan was on the sidelines.
In the monsoon,
monsoon.
against the Colts and the whatever that mess was against the Patriots. He can
We're
handle it.
gonna
He's got the hoodie. He can
We're going to
handle
be
it.
by the pool.
That's it.
I think I'll have a margarita. Maybe something else. Maybe a frozen drink. Sorry, Dan.
You had a frozen drink, too.
Yeah, you did have a frozen drink. All right, thank you so much for joining us. For Mike Catalan and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to subscribe to the Buffalo Plus channel on YouTube.